Welcome back, everybody. Yes. I'm finally doing another video. I know it's been a minute since I've been on camera. Not for lack of wanting, but it is a little bit hard for me to be able to focus and make videos. Today's video is going to be on Netflix's Color Out of Space, starring Nicolas Cage. So it is a Lovecraft movie, and the movie starts off with the opening narration of the book. So let's get to it. It was just a color out of space. So the movie starts off with Lavanya in the forest, and she's doing some sort of ritual that will hopefully protect her family, and protect the farmland they are on, but it gets interrupted by the geologist, and many have speculated whether or not his interruption of the ritual actually caused the events to unfold as they did afterwards, but she was not able to complete it successfully, and instead of completing it, she just walked away. So it was an unfinished ceremony. So Lavanya goes home. And once Lavanya gets home, we get to see how her family life is. She's greeted by her father, and then she goes and meets up with her brother. So her father is played by Nicolas Cage. And I will always be referring to Nicolas Cage, whose character's name is actually Nathan. So I'm always going to refer to Nathan as Nicolas Cage. Then we have the baby brother, Jack, the elder brother, Benny, and the mother, Teresa. Or is it Sister Teresa? I'm pretty sure it's the mother Teresa. So this shot is pretty important because it gives us a look at the dynamic of the family, and how, you know, they're very jovial and very, they kid around with each other and things like this. So the mother is upstairs in her makeshift office. You know how most of us are working now from home. I don't know what would be worse, an alien invasion or this continued lockdown that we've been having for about almost 2 years now. Anyways, so the mother comes down, and they all have supper as a family. So the father, Nicolas Cage, made dinner for everybody. So it's a sort of casserole. So it's a mixture of a whole bunch of things. The family does their best to stomach it, but of course it's not Mama's cooking. Then we cut to afterwards, before bedtime. Nicolas Cage and Teresa are on the balcony. You know, they're trying to be romantic and things like this. Nicolas Cage is trying to be sweet and stuff, and he talks about his father, which is very important because there is a part where he imitates the way his father spoke. And the reason why I'm saying it's very important is on my first viewing, I missed it, and I was a little bit confused later on when personalities kind of changed as to why Nicolas Cage was acting different. So when you see him acting like his father in the beginning of the movie over here, pay attention to it, because it's not the first time you're going to see it.
What about me? Living on my father's old farm, exactly like I said I never would.
But it's the first thing you've ever done he would have approved of.
Yeah, I could still hear his intellectually abusive voice in my head. You're never gonna be a painter, Nathan, so you just get the fuck out of my sight, Nathan.
Stop it, it'll fade.
And then everyone's getting ready for bed. So the only one that's not really asleep is the youngest son, Benny, and of course Nicolas Cage and Teresa, as they're trying to, consummate the marriage bed. And we cut to the outside, where we have a nice flash of a magenta color. And Jack is a little bit disturbed by the color, so he goes outside and he sees in the sky, not only is it just a flash, but like it's a pulsating magenta color, and then whoosh, the meteorite hits the ground, Jack freaks out and he runs inside, interrupting the romance between his parents.
Sam, you're not interested in the black hole, Sam?
Mommy? Mommy?
Don't go near it. Don't go near it. Sam, get back inside. Get back inside. I said go inside. Just go inside.
Jesus, what a mess.
It smells.
Nate! There's something wrong with Jack!
The next morning, the family wakes up and Nicolas Cage, they go outside and it's the eldest son Benny and Nicolas Cage, and they're looking at the meteorite, and for whatever reason Nicolas Cage has this smell that he can't get over, and he smells it everywhere, but nobody else in the family or anybody around him smells it. And as bad as the smell is, it's very surprising that nobody actually smells it. So that is part of the mystery of the color out of space. It affects people differently, and we'll get to it more and more as I progress in the video. The media comes and they interview Nicolas Cage, asking him what happened during the night and things like this, and he says that he was in bed with his wife, and then there was a big flash of a color like magenta, and then he was like, actually I don't know what color it was. I've never seen a color like this before in my life. Keep in mind, the meteorite has been in their backyard all night since the crash.
What the hell happened here?
Well, it was last night. I was in bed with my wife, and it was the first time that we, since the operation, and then there was this boom, like a sonic boom and a big flash, like a pink light. Or actually, I don't even know what color it was. It wasn't like any color I'd ever seen before, and then everything just blew up or fell from the sky.
Then the water specialist enters the stage, and they ask him what he thinks of the meteorite, and he says it's a peculiar thing. He'll have to run some more tests. And Lavanya comes out, and he's a little bit coy with Ward, wearing a skirt. Girl has long legs, big beautiful eyes. The actress did a phenomenal job in the movie. Nicolas Cage right away is suspect, but uncharacteristically suspect of Lavanya's intentions. So he tells her to go inside. So she goes inside, and she's greeted by her mom, and her mom also is uncharacteristically judgmental of Lavanya, telling Lavanya she pretty much threw herself at Ward, even though we didn't see anything like that. She was just casually talking. I'm sure there was a little bit of flirtation, but nowhere near the exaggeration that the parents saw it as. So she starts, Lavanya starts crying, and she runs to her room, and the mother's like, wait a second. She realizes that's uncharacteristic of her, so she starts apologizing as Lavanya is running to her room, but the damage was already done. So Lavanya puts in her headphones, and she starts pinching at her hand over the fleshy part between your thumb and your index finger. And then we're introduced to one of the coolest characters in the movie, that's played by Chong, and his name is Ezra. So Ezra is a big-ass stoner, but he's also in tune with nature and things like this. So we meet him in his shack, and it's all like run down and decrepit, and he has like all this strange technology. He's living off the grid, so everything is solar powered and things like that.
Oh, it's the surveyor man.
Sorry, I don't think we've met yet. I'm,
The hydrologist.
yeah, pretty well informed.
A lot of little birdies flitting around here in this ecosphere. You just gotta know how to decode them. Come on in, we'll talk about the space metal.
And he treats Ward to a cup of Java coffee. And Ward notices that the water is unusually oily, so he advises Ezra to not drink the water. So then we cut to the next scene where it's much later in the day, and Ward is conducting some sort of experiments with the litmus papers and the water, testing the acidity and the toxicity of the water. And of course, the litmus paper turns the color magenta. And out of nowhere, all sorts of electronic malfunctions start happening, like his car starts running, the radio starts blasting, you know, typical horror flick stuff. And then it just stops. So the next morning, Nicolas Cage and Teresa are talking about the change that they're seeing on the farm, and Nicolas Cage still has that smell that he can't get rid of. But again, nobody else is smelling it apart from Nicolas Cage. And then they start noticing that there's flowers, like magenta purple flowers, that are growing. And Nicolas Cage asked Teresa if she planted them. She goes, no, I guess they might be perennials. Strange things start happening. Like, we start noticing that the youngest son, Jack, starts sitting outside of the well, and he starts whistling at the well. And Lavanya asks him what is he doing, and Jack just turns and goes, he's talking to the person in the well. So Lavanya's like, gets this like weird look, as if like she's overcome by something, and she goes inside.
What are you doing?
Shh. It's talking to me.
Who's talking to you?
The man in the well.
Okay.
And then we cut to the night time, where again we're having dinner with the family. Well, they're preparing dinner, so the mom's in the kitchen chopping up the vegetables to make the supper, and Nicolas Cage and the kids are watching the the news segment where he was being interviewed, and he kind of looks like one of those crazy conspiracy theorists, you know, hair all disheveled, scratching his head, scratching his arm that has started to develop this strange wrath. And the journalist asks him if he's been drinking, and he goes, yeah, I had a couple of glasses of bourbon. Why? And then he's like, oh man, I can't believe that they made me look like some UFO nut and whatever. So he's been trying to get the attention of his wife, but she's been zoned out. So eventually Jack goes in the kitchen to fetch his mother. Jack is trying to get his mom's attention, you know, pulling on her skirt, and the mom's chopping up the vegetables, and then all of a sudden, as she's chopping the vegetables, she starts cutting her fingers. So it's actually really well shot because it looks like she actually did cut her fingers. So Jack sees what his mom did, and he kind of panics. So he runs the living room to get Nicolas Cage, and then the mom just turns and faces the family with these two fingers missing. Dinner's ready!
You're from WARK News.
Daddy!
Reportedly,
Mommy's
all traces
hurt!
of the alleged UFO
Baby?
vanished before authorities were able to collect
Dinner's
samples
ready.
of photographs, calling the family's claim into question.
So of course, they all freak out. So Nicolas Cage, I don't know why I keep on calling him Nicolas Cage. So Cage grabs the wife, puts the eldest son in charge, and tells him to watch over the alpacas. Oh yeah, by the way, they are raising a herd of alpaca for their meat apparently, and also for their hard to get milk. So he tells him the alpacas must be inside by 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Benny. So the parents drive off. Lavanya makes a quip about how Benny is the one in charge because he's so responsible, the stoner. So throughout the night, things get a little bit odd again. So Benny was taking care of the animals. Lavanya was doing her teenage stuff, and of course Jack was being Jack. Jack sat down with his dog in front of the well. So Lavanya goes back inside the house, and the phone rings. So she answers it, but it's nothing but noise. But you can also hear somebody yelling, and it sounds like Cage. That's because it is. So she hangs up, and then we see on the next frame that it was indeed Cage. He was at the hospital, and he was like, huh? What the hell? Did she just hang up on me?
Dad? Hello? Dad? Hello?
Hello, Lavinia. Is that you?
So she goes back outside and sees that Jack is still sitting outside in front of the well, and she tells him to come back inside the house. But he's still whistling at the well, communicating with whatever is there, and then the screen turns magenta. And we see this insect, looks like a praying mantis that crawls out of it, but it's, of course, magenta. And it's looking, studying Benny, and then all of a sudden, these tentacles come out of the insect's mouth, analyzes him a little bit more, and then flies away. So meanwhile, Lavanya goes back inside to, take care of the housework, like doing the dishes, and of course they haven't cleaned up since their mom chopped up her fingers. So Lavanya is trying to keep herself composed while she's washing the blood off of her mother's blood off of the kitchen knife, and she imagines the sink filling up with her mother's blood and start overflowing, and then she gets dizzy, and just before it looks like she's about to pass out, Ward shows up to the house and asks if everything is okay, and advises them as well to not drink the water. Ward leaves the residence, and he goes back to another interesting scene with Ezra. So he knocks on the door. Ezra tells him to come in, and Ezra's on the ground, and he has this like makeup on his face with diamond in the center of his forehead. Keep that in mind, and also he's got like eye makeup and stuff like that, and he's on the floor shirtless, and he's wearing these ancient ass headphones, listening to something under the ground. So Ward asks him what he's listening for, and he goes, he's listening for them, the creatures under the ground. And he passes the headphones over to Ward, and Ward is trying to listen. We never hear exactly what it is that they're hearing, but it seems that Ward kind of hears something that he doesn't exactly dismiss as odd. So he gives the headphones back to Ezra.
Shh. You can hear them down there.
Hear them? Hear who?
Yeah, I could hear them while I slept, shuffling around.
What exactly am I supposed to be listening to?
They came on the rock.
Look, no offense, Ezra, but that's pretty out there.
You don't get it, do you? It's not out there, it's in here. It's in the static, it's in the moisture. Up is down, fast is slow. What's in here is out there. And what's out there is in here now. Comprendo? It's not out there, it's in here. It's in the static, it's in the moisture. Up is down, fast is slow. What's in here is out there. And what's out there is in here now. Comprendo? It's in the static, it's in the moisture. Up is down, fast is slow. What's in here is out there. And what's out there is in here now. Comprendo?
Now it's much later during the day, and the parents are driving back home. So they're both very normal at this juncture because they're away from the house, so they're interacting with each other in a normal manner. So the mom's still confused, and as they're driving home, something runs into the road, and they swerve away to avoid hitting it. And of course, it's G-Spot, and Ezra's missing cat that we wouldn't recognize. And indeed, we would not have recognized it, and it did have an impact on Nicolas Cage because he was shaken by the experience, especially by what he saw. He's like, holy crap, did you see its eyes, man? What the hell is wrong with its eyes? So they drive back home, and we see again Jack at the well, and I'm pretty sure Jack has been sitting at the well the entire day. And again, the dog comes back out and sits with him, but this time he starts sniffing the air around Jack, and then we see the purple color. So the dog is looking at the color, and then all of a sudden the dog starts growling. And then he runs towards the well. We hear a rustle. We hear the dog, the struggle, and then meanwhile Jack is just sitting there, mesmerized by the color and whatever he's seeing. I don't know if he's actually registering what it is that just happened with his dog and the being that is in the well. So Lavanya is back in her room, and she's listening to teenage angst type of music. And then the eldest brother, Benny, eventually comes home, and she asks him if he put the alpaca away, and he goes, yeah, of course. And then the parents finally pull up. Everybody was outside, and there Jack and Nicolas Cage is like, what the hell's going on? Why is everybody outside at this late an hour? So Nicolas Cage asked Benny about the alpaca. He said, yeah, he put them away. But then Cage is like, what do you mean you put them away? They're right over there. And indeed they were. And Benny's like, what the hell? I did put them away. Well, put them the hell away. So Benny grabs I think there were 3 or 4 alpaca, and he brings them back to the shed. And then we have a little moment with Lavanya and Nicolas Cage, and it's a pretty rough rough scene. This is the major part where Nicolas Cage's father starts coming out.
Dad's acting weird, right?
You noticed? Where's Sam?
They must have got him.
They? What the fuck are you talking about?
They, them, it, that thing that has been fucking this place up. I mean, come on, Dad, don't pretend that you haven't noticed.
Nothing has been fucking this place up. Okay, you know, I've had it with your drama, Lavinia. So do me a favor and get the fuck out of my sight, okay? No, actually, I'll save you the trouble and get the fuck out of yours.
So the way he says it is very much in the way that his father would talk. So he dismisses her in a very, very extremely rude and uncharacteristic way. Lavinia tells Benny that they have to get out of there because things are getting very strange. So everybody's had a pretty rough night, right, Cthulhu? The call. So Cage decides to unwind by taking a shower, so we're at the morning again, and Jack Nicholson and Nicolas Cage is outside, tending to his crops. His tomatoes have started producing tomatoes a month early, and they're huge. They look juicy and very awesome. So he's all happy about that, and we see him scratching at his arm at that rash that is getting worse and worse by the scene. So he's really excited and happy that finally something good is coming out of their week. So he goes inside, and we cut to the mother in her office, and she's trying to again conduct her meeting with the finances of the company and things like this. And her call keeps cutting in and out. They weren't able to hear her. And then eventually she loses communication with the Zoom call. Understandably, she freaks out. She's making her way downstairs, and she meets with Nicolas Cage, biting into the tomatoes and spitting them out because everything smells and tastes disgusting, because that smell still has not gone away. He still smells that stink.
You have got to do something about that dish. I am literally hemorrhaging clients.
Should be working, sweetie. I just checked it this morning.
No, it's garbling the fuck out of everything I say.
He's freaking about he's having his own personal freak out at the tomatoes. Just
Nate, are you listening to me?
You know, I did everything I was supposed to do. I followed every fucking rule in the book. In the end, they still fucking taste like shit. You know what? Fuck that. Okay, coming up. You know what?
Okay, stop it. Stop.
Slam dunk.
And then the wife herself is also freaking out over the internet and letting him have a piece of her mind as well.
You know what? Just do something about that dish. All right. Do you know what? I'm gonna go and lie down. Just fix that dish, okay?
So she was like, just call the fucking internet company! Nicolas Cage's character completely changes and goes back to normal. He's like, yeah, you know what, honey? I think that's a great idea. Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, sweetie.
As if nothing was out of the ordinary. So she leaves the room. So then we have further development with the creature in the well. So now Benny comes out to join Jack at the well, and they both see the magenta color, and it's really a very cool scene. And we have Lavinia, who remembers that she was doing the ritual in the beginning and then she was interrupted. So we cut that to her, and she's trying to do another ritual to protect the family and to get her or the family off the farm. At this point, the madness of the color out of space has taken hold of everybody. So with this ritual, she's doing the ritual through the Necronomicon. She takes an X-Acto knife and she starts cutting symbols all over her arms, all over her chest, and we see them all over her face. Benny and Jack, poor little Jack, go to take care of the alpaca to get them back in the barn, well, to check on them in the barn, as father requested. So as they're entering the barn, they start hearing the sounds of the alpaca, not sounding very alpaca-like at all. So as they get closer, Jack asks what's wrong with them, and Benny's like, I don't know. So then as they turn the corner to finally see the alpaca, they both freak out at the sight that they see. At this point of the movie, we don't actually see what the alpaca looked like, but the camera does cut to various parts of it, and it looks very reminiscent of John Carpenter's The Thing. If you've ever seen that movie, a must-watch movie. And it's just like a gruesome looking scene, and we do see like this weird purple thing like pulsating within the alpaca. And I'm pretty sure I saw some sharp teeth, so I'm pretty sure the dog was also part of the homunculus gathering of mass. Very gross. So they run the hell out of there, and so the mother sees, because the mother was looking for Jack and Benny, and she sees them running out of the barn. So she runs towards Jack and Benny. So she grabs Benny, she's holding on to them, and we see the light coming out of the barn, and it just starts zapping at Teresa holding her son, and it just keeps zapping and zapping and zapping, and all Benny could do is just look in horror at what the hell's going on with his mother and his little baby brother, right? God, the poor kids. The poor creature. Nicolas Cage hears all the commotion outside. By the way, his name is Nathan in the movie. And like I said, I'm going to be calling him Jack. I'm going to be calling him Nicolas Cage throughout the video. So he hears the commotion, and he goes outside to see what's going on, and he sees Benny awestruck at what he's seeing. So Nicolas Cage is like, okay, let's get them inside. They bring Mom and Jack into the house. What happened was, like, whatever that being is, whether or not it's Cthulhu or not, whatever it is that is inhabiting the well, whatever it is that is infecting the farm and the family, took the mother and the son and pretty much merged them together into one being. So I am gonna leave the movie over here because I don't want to do any more spoilers than what I already did. So hopefully what information I've given throughout this video has piqued your curiosity to watch the movie. I highly recommend it. It is not a feel-good movie. If a Lovecraft movie, if you're a horror fan, space horror fan, aliens, whatever, this movie should definitely be on your radar to watch. The movie just gets harder to watch from here on. It's about 2 hours, and it's a 2 hours that is well spent and will go by surprisingly fast. I've watched this movie twice now already, at least. All the actors, the kids, Nicolas Cage, and everybody else did a phenomenal job. The special effects were amazing. I'm a big fan of bright colors and contrast and things like this. I do like the color purple very much. So this movie to me was very, very visually appealing. It does get pretty damn gross going forward. There is kind of like a lot of body horror, and then towards what happens at leading up to the end will just freaking visually blow your mind away. So if you did enjoy the video, like I said in the beginning, please leave a like if you are new to the channel. I hate asking for this, but it still actually matters. Regardless of what other people tell you, subscribers still do matter today. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next movie reviews. I haven't figured out which one I'm going to do next yet, but it's going to be either Constantine, Akira, or Underwater. So thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay strong. And if you're an alpha gamer, live dangerously. I appreciate you.
What touched this place cannot be quantified or understood by human science. It was just a color out of space. A messenger from realms whose existence stuns the brain and numbs us with the gulfs that it throws open before our frenzied eyes.